This is our third and final episode in our pro-life series. If you haven't seen the last two, check them out, linked in the description below. In the first episode, we talked with Catholic Mobilizing Network, and in the second episode, we highlighted Obria Medical Clinics. So for this episode, we talked with the founders of For Us, which stands for For Ultrasound. Now, For Us is all about trying to equip pregnancy centers with the tools, technology, and talent to save lives. Their vision is to make abortions rare by choice, and their mission is to illuminate hope for pregnant women in crisis through the power of ultrasound. But before we learn more about For Us, go ahead and subscribe to Max Studios and click that bell icon so that you get notifications about all of our upcoming episodes. Also, follow us on social media at Max Studios UST for all the latest, all the behind the scenes, and everything that we've got coming up. Okay, let's finally finish up this series on pro-life so that we can better understand what that means. Okay, let's meet the founders of For Us, Kim and Diego.
We call the charity For Us. It stands for Ultrasound. It was founded in 2004, while both my wife and I were flying wartime missions in Iraq and Afghanistan as C-17 pilots. And it all came as a result of a pretty simple conversation with a Catholic colleague. He had asked me, what are you doing about abortion? And I said, well, I give to the local crisis pregnancy center. We pray. We vote pro-life. And he kind of looks at me and goes, yeah, but what are you doing about abortion? And the question really resonated with me, remained with me for the better part of that 3-month deployment where both my wife and I were. And we came back from that deployment. And I was just on fire to do something about abortion and heard that ultrasound machines were quite effective. One thing that both my wife and I are is we're not like, we're not into really carrying picket signs or having bumper stickers speak for us. We're more about getting into the community and tangibly impacting things, sort of staying out of the politics, where there's kind of a lot of, let's say, a lot of smoke, but not a lot of actual things getting done, right, at the community level. And so we thought we'd raise money to purchase an ultrasound machine for a local pregnancy center. And when I called the local pregnancy center to find out how much one of those was, I really thought that God was going to let me out of this by just simply writing a check. Because I thought, well, how much can an ultrasound machine cost, right? It's like a laptop and it's like a mouse that you rub across a woman's belly. It's probably like $3,000 or $4,000. And after Kim and I came back from the deployment, we're like, yeah, we probably have that much, right? We can do that. And I called the center and I asked how much one of those costs. And she got back to me breathless saying, oh, it costs $55,000.
Are you kidding me?
Yeah, that's pretty much what I did. Your expression right there.
That's shocking.
And I was like, man, we're like $52,000 short. That's
Thank you.
Yeah. So I struggled for a long time because I'm trying to discern what is God calling me to do. And then, so we started this event called Ride for Us. The first couple of years were very small events, and eventually we ended up with a donated ultrasound machine. And each year we've just tried to get bigger and better. And over the next about 13 years, we grew this event that included a bike ride, a run, a walk, motorcycle rally, Friday night Christian concert with a Friday night Lumaglow run. And then at the end of the whole 2-day event, we'd have this Guinness World Record attempt, like world's largest squirt gun fight. And we had 300 people that would come in from all over the nation to help host the event and support it, and called the 300. And it grew into this massive sufferfest, honestly. I mean, we would get 5 ultrasound machines each year, typically as a result of the funds, but you start involving people, and we're a volunteer ministry, right? Kim and I don't make any money from this. We actually pay in a significant amount to help the ministry continue to grow. And we were just spending all of our spare time planning for the next event, recruiting sponsors, recruiting community partners and the police, and laying out, buying supplies from China and worrying about the China, supply chain and inflatables and all of this stuff that has so little to do with actually bringing a woman into a clinic and helping her realize all the services that are in front of her, thanks to these wonderful volunteers and staff that are in these life-saving clinics, right? And we were putting so much in between the mission, which is illuminating hope for a pregnant woman in crisis, and the money to get there, right? And we were just getting exhausted. And by the grace of God, some patrons came along, 3 wise men who were all former captains of industry, wonderful Catholic men. And they said, you've got to stop doing this. One, for your family and your marriage, because we have full-time jobs on the outside, and then any spare time was being devoted to planning these massive events and making it meaningful for everyone. And they pointed out, how inefficient it was, and clearly we understood that because we were exhausted. But they helped us develop our online peer-to-partner and peer-to-peer fundraising system that we call Adopt a Center, and that you can find at forus.org. That's the numeral 4us.org. And on there, on the website, you can see all of our key metrics, number of machines delivered. You see a beautiful map of all the communities that we've supported, growing from that one center first in 2006 is when we provided our first ultrasound machine, and just expanding out from the Pacific Northwest to now all across the nation.
Well, when this whole thing kicked off, prior to this kicking off, I wasn't even pro-life, okay? I was pro-choice for a very long part of my life. And then when I had my own children and I saw my children on the ultrasound, I was like, whoa, that's really a person in there, right? And, but I moved into that really comfortable place where a lot of women sit where like, oh, I can never have an abortion, but I'm not going to tell another woman what to do with your body. So when he started this, I wasn't even really excited about it, right? And so just not wanting to see my husband fail was my initial motivation. But the more I got into this movement, the more amazing people you meet. And the thing that was so striking to me and that I think really converted my heart was to see these women who had had an abortion and just the incredible pain that they carry with them, even though they know that they've been forgiven. That pain, I'm a very empathetic person, and feeling that person's pain I need to stop that, right? I don't want women to feel this their whole life. And so, we would hear stories from the centers. They tried to send us, things that are happening with the ultrasound machine. And I think one of our favorite stories was a couple came in and the girl seemed kind of, I don't know, and the boyfriend was like, no way, man. Right. And so he was arms crossed sitting in there. And so they did the ultrasound and the baby was hopping on the screen. And the guy was like, well, what's going on? And the sonographer was like, oh, the baby just has the hiccups. And he kind of went, whoa, I remember my mom telling me that she could feel that I had hiccups when I was in her womb. And the total energy change in that room when all of a sudden they were it became their baby, right? And they were parents and that's our baby. I think every woman who's pregnant deserves to see that. And when you go to a Planned Parenthood or an abortion provider, they don't let you see that picture. They think it's too controversial. And I personally think women are smart enough and they should have all the information. And so if we can afford that opportunity, and this machine is so powerful so that you can see everything you're giving up, right? And then if that's your choice, well, then you're going to live with that. And, that's your choice. But it's so powerful, 90% of the time, women are like, whoa, that's really a baby in there. And if these ladies are going to help me, and this clinic is going to stand beside me and maybe even help my family and my boyfriend get behind me, I'm going to carry this baby. That is why every clinic needs an ultrasound machine.
We've delivered now, well, by the end of this year, we'll have delivered about 150 ultrasound machines. Every single one of those machines will save about 1,000 lives. But it's so much more than that, because one, you're saving a mother from a life of regret, right? In some cases, you're actually reconciling a boyfriend or a husband to step up and fulfill his role in life, right? And what we don't know, and what we can only imagine we'll be able to see one day, is not the lives that were saved so much as the generations that were preserved, right? That would not have even been, but for these amazing women in these pregnancy centers that are using that ultrasound as a window into the womb to help save that baby's life and help the mother connect to the baby within her. The machine is
it's like a really effective tool.
The machine is merely the tool. Yeah, it's the women that staff these centers that build the relationships that are there to let this woman know that she is not alone. Mm-hmm. Okay, and so one of the reasons that we call the charity For Us, right, is it's for ultrasound, but it's also for us as a culture, and for us, the mother and the child. Right. And so going back to Kim's story there, this is a variation of that story happens, and every time the woman sees her baby on an ultrasound, because what ends up happening is she walks into the center, very dark place, right? She's in a dark place. The center is beautiful, warm, inviting, right? And the women that are in the center aren't judging, aren't, oh my gosh, I can't believe you've pregnant out of wedlock or anything like that. They're like, what can we help you with? What can we do for you, right? And they learn what her concerns are: psychological concerns, sociological concerns, right? Relational concerns. My family does not want me to have this baby, right? Economic concerns. I can't afford it. I've already working 2 jobs. I've got, I'm trying to go to school, right? And they, because of the partners that these centers work with in the community, whether they be maternity homes or education centers or counseling or OBGYNs that provide entirely free services, right? That woman is coming in, and the center relieves her social, psychological, economic, and relational concerns right there, because they say, we are going to walk with you through this. And many of the women that are in these clinics as counselors at one point chose abortion in their life, right? And they are working in a really beautifully redemptive way to ensure that other women aren't going through that same pain, right? And more lives aren't lost. And so by the time she's invited to go into the ultrasound room, the observation room, and receive that ultrasound, she kind of already knows, okay, well, these people are here to help me, but, this is still my problem. I'm going to be the one that has to get myself through this, right? And then that moment when that image starts to resolve, and you can start to see the hands or the feet, that's where that For Us, where I'm talking about, it's for us, the woman and the baby. That's where she goes from thinking, how am I going to get through this, to when she says, she grabs her belly and she goes, we're going to get through this. We are going to get through this, right? And I don't know, just the thought of that is what motivates Kim and I to keep doing this.
I think, this abortion, this whole topic is so hard, right? I mean, having been on both sides of the issue, I can relate and empathize with both sides. But now that I'm on the side of pro-life, everything about abortion is pain, right? And so when you are not obedient to how God has structured things, it results in pain. And so I know a lot of people think they're helping women. I had a roommate that I helped get an abortion in college, and it caused pain. And I just, I think you have to really sit down and think about, when does life begin? And what is God's intention and what is God's plan? And then the obedience part is like the natural follow on, because taking an innocent human life is really, I don't believe is God's intention or plan. I don't know if I'm saying this very well. I don't know if you have a different take on it, but to me, it's, when you stop being obedient to what the God's intention for man and woman and family and children, it just leads to chaos and pain.
Guys especially think you've got to have these wonderful theological arguments or scientific empirical, right? You're going to have these debates and all this other stuff, right? But guess what, dudes? You aren't the ones that are going to be in 9 months of, it's very different for the woman's perspective than the guy's perspective, right? The obedience is in loving your neighbor and then helping them find the resources, right? Because what happens is once they're welcomed into that door, that ultrasound machine, it goes through all, it's the best biological, theological, scientific, empirical, technological argument you'll ever see, because you just cut right past all of what the world is telling you about this clump of cells, so to speak. And you hear a beating heart and you see a little set of hands, right? And if the baby's further along, it's sucking its thumb, right? Fully developed at 9 weeks, right? And at 12 weeks, it's got every component and it's just growing bigger from there, right? Well, I can talk about that, or you can see that. You don't have to be divisive to be pro-life, right?
I so wish I had known about these centers when my roommate was pregnant, instead of just handing her off to Planned Parenthood, right?
We don't use the word pro-life in any of our literature or anywhere on our website. Pro-life is, for us, a distinctly political connotation, right? And so what is our mission? Is to make abortions rare by choice, right? And when a woman is surrounded by that loving environment, that pregnancy center, 90% of the time she chooses life, right?
She's not alone.
And so we're not about making it illegal. There's other entities that are doing God's work and making that happen. We're in the service area and honoring a woman's choice, informing that choice, right? Respecting the family and all the means that, look at the heroes in the movies that we watch, right? The heroes overcome adversity, right? They don't write off the problem, get rid of the problem, take a pill and the problem's gone, right? The heroes that we admire in some of the most secular movies that we watch are all those that look into the abyss, right? And overcome the hardships, right? And persevere. And there's a message there for all of these women, especially the women that are, and men that are on Christian campuses, right? Here's one more thing. The abortion rate amongst the Christian population is no different than the abortion rate amongst the non-Christian, right? The thing is that the Christian population has a lot more shame about it, and they go to greater lengths to hide it. And there is celebration in walking into one of these centers, right? And there is not judgment, there is love, right? And I don't know I've yet to encounter the parents whose Christian kid was pregnant and they didn't step up and say, well, we're here to help, right? So college and careers and everything else doesn't get sidelined because of a baby. It just becomes a little bit more challenging, and in the end becomes way more rewarding.
The Rundown is a show produced by Mac Studios at the University of St. Thomas in Houston. Check us out on Instagram, Facebook, and TikTok at Mac Studios UST.